Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Frolicking Elf, and here's her story. Having two cluster B parents is exhausting, and this is the first year I'm putting a boundary down and not partaking in my mother's ridiculous Christmas traditions that always burned to the ground with me as the scapegoat house elf. First, it's setting up the tree on December 1st. Last year, I got elbowed in the ribs continually for not taking over the dishes for a golden child's visiting girlfriend. Or there is an expectation for me and my fiance to sleep over on Christmas Eve and expected to ooh and ah every dollar store gift stuffed into our stockings. All while Golden Child Brother is playing with his brand new smartphone, eating her food, and boasting about how generous my mother was flying down his whole family for the holidays. Thanks for the deodorant, Mom. At least it's the kind I like. And let's not forget the family picture around the Christmas tree. My partner took the photo, so he wasn't in it, and I sat on the floor with the dog, clearly where I belong. And this whole visit was to Hoover son husband to move back in with my mother, and it worked like a charm. Jesus. And he's got a girl. I've made a lot of mistakes in my healing journey. I over-explained and I chased for their validation. I sent dysfunctional family videos, books, and articles. I invited people to see what family therapy was all about. I negotiated my worth. I stated my boundaries. I pleaded for understanding, empathy, and change. The more you plead with the narcissist, the worse it gets. You can't plead for anything. It's only going to be turned against you. I scheduled family trauma therapy sessions. I paid for them, and perhaps the biggest mistake of all, I started asking my mother more questions about her past, her siblings, my long-deceased grandparents, and heaven forbid, why she stayed with my father, even though she knew he was abusive. Boy, did I have a lot to learn in the before time. I still have a lot to learn in the now time. In the before time, weren't both victims of domestic abuse? Now that they're divorced, shouldn't we be able to support each other after everything we've been through together? She used to thank me for getting between her and my father's fights. Now, in the now time, I now finally understand that she purposely provoked him just as I was getting him. Wasn't my mother's supply a victim of long-term, multi-generational abuse dynamics? And couldn't we now heal that trauma as adults away from my father? And at first she seemed open to connecting with me, even thanking me for everything I did during the divorce to help her move out, and how much it meant to her that I stood up to my narc father for her. That was, of course, until I asked her, why did you always have strays in the house? Strays in order of when they appeared over the last 20 years. Some stayed only a few months, some have come and gone again. Her leaving her abusive relationship, who became our housekeeper for a while. Her friend leaving her abusive relationship, who became our housekeeper for a while. Random teenager she brought home from work, who was parentified and meshed instantly and had to listen to my parents drone and babysit us. I was 12 and I had been babysitting sister alone for years already. An entire family that she knew through my junior high school. Me, hoovered after my father moved out and she decompensated, hoovered real good and discarded in theatrical fashion. Half-brother hoovered after wife number one kicked him out. Her best friend's stepdaughter, friendship burned to the ground last year. Her other best friend, a random customer from a retail store whose dog crapped all over her, just poured basement in her brand new duplex. Her niece, my cousin. And her current stray, a former customer from the liquor store that she ran for over 20 years, built from my paternal grandfather's house. She is still now the executor of her estate for some reason. Half brother again with family number 2, and a couple more I'm sure I am forgetting. Both sets of my grandparents were alcoholics enablers. My parents didn't drink much, but there was a stocked liquor cabinet since grade 5. We're Canadian, a mix of French, Ukrainian, and German. A Catholic guilt built deep on both sides, but I was raised agnostic. We were a big family with big tempers and a lot of vices. And yet, I still don't quite understand the function of the strays or the onion layer function of the stray. Did having strays around keep the focus off her, or diluted my father's wrath as he wouldn't narc rage fully when there were other witnesses? Or perhaps there were just more supply in the house. Probably all of those things. I remember the super awkward family meetings where the stray of the month would just sit there awkwardly while my narc father laid down house rules, pacing between legs and furniture. Did the strays add more supply to his grandiose ideas or help her covert bipolar mass stay put? The honeymoon phase never lasted long, and soon enough, they overstay their welcome, as they all do. My father's always had to be the bad guy to boot them out. She brings them in just so she can throw them out. That's why. It's more supply. It's more supply. She brings them in just so she can throw them out. It's control. It's supply. It's sad. Strays, and more strays. This growing up all added to the zoo of pets we had. Rabbits, guinea pigs, dogs, cats, fire-bellied toads, salamanders, fresh saltwater fish, a turtle, and even rescued some wild birds over the years. And do we need to ponder why I became a biologist but currently have no pets? Only one guess who took care of the vast majority of animals in the house. It must be like a pet cemetery in the backyard, and so many excuses for why we couldn't take my pets to the vet if they needed medical treatment. But when the golden retriever ate insulation foam to fill the contents of his stomach and wouldn't eat for 4 days because my father was too cheap to take her to the vet, I threatened to call the cops on him and report him for animal abuse. And he knew, and I knew I was in trouble when I did it, but I wasn't going to let that animal suffer. I was lectured for weeks for threatening my father. Did he take the dog to the vet? Because if he took the dog to the vet, it's not really a threat, is it? It's making him do the right thing. This is all about control, about ruining everybody's lives. He also took all the credit for saving her life after emergency surgery to remove an ice cream pail full of foam. Years later, he still jokes about installing a zipper on her dog. Her dog, because mother had rescued a stray dog, a German Shepherd mix named Cujo, and my dad simply gave him away like he was nothing, and took all us girls to go get a golden retriever puppy for mother's birthday. Who could say no to 2 fawning girls and a brand new puppy? Sorry. Since I was a kid, every stray has to call her mom within a few weeks. It is creepy as hell hearing full-grown adults call your mother mom. Oops. Are they just placeholders for the remaining family roles? Or are they indentured servants, karmically bound to do my mother's bidding because she gave them a cookie during the love bombing phase? Or is my mother simply reenacting past trauma over and over again? It doesn't matter. It's all dysfunctional. Here's the thing. The majority of the strays catch on after the honeymoon period, and human or animal. They run the fuck away. This behavior has continued after their divorce. Only My mother complained to me about what her strays were and weren't doing. She even tried to get me to evict her tenants. Took me a while to realize that when I refused, she emotionally punished me for weeks, even months. She tried to hoover me this past February and then tried to discard me or turn her back on me, as she calls it. But this time I didn't chase after her to try to fix it like I'm programmed to do. Instead, I jumped into trauma therapy and was diagnosed with CPTSD, adrenal fatigue, and a fatty liver. Since going no contact in June, I've lost 24 pounds. I'm much stronger, healthier, and firmer in my understanding of the holiday abuse cycles. I've missed Christmases before, but this year she had something evil planned. I could feel it. My mother has all the roles in place now for Christmas. The smear campaign on me is ticking along nicely as the remaining family members rally around my mother, who is, after all, she's just a humanitarian taking on strays in my brother's family during their trying time, right? Thanks so much for sharing your stories with us, Ali. There's so much more to this story, but I need to start somewhere. I'm so glad you're feeling better, thanks to your cheeky Christmas outfit that inspired the healing belly laugh. I'm ready to attack the holidays with you and all your subscribers. It's Frolicking Elf. And again, sorry, I just couldn't do it this year. I couldn't do it. I wasn't feeling it. I was sick. It just was a bad one. Your mother collects lives and controls them. Doesn't matter if they're human or animals. All she does is collect people's lives. Stay away and don't ever come back and don't ever look back. Because what your mother is, she's the narcissist. She's a bone collector. She just collects bones and then discards them. And it's all about the discard. It's all about the discard and the control with her. So I hope that helps. Thank you so much for another contribution and story. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all of this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance.